So in Super Tourers, is this you? Oh, damn it. Or this? Ah. Or even worse, this. Ah. Ah. Well, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, or maybe something a little bit stronger, because this video could be for you. Super Tourers, what can I say? One of the most fun series on LowFuel Motorsport with the Assetto Corsa. However, they're not very well populated. Now, there's probably a number of reasons for this. One of them is they are paid content, but more importantly, they are extremely difficult to drive and to set up. Now, there has been an update on the VRC Super Tourers, and interestingly today I did have a quick go on what their base setups are now, and they're a lot easier to handle. There's a lot of the lift-off oversteer has been reduced, but there's still a lot of limitations with braking, etc., and even turning into the corner. Now, this can make it frustrating for those of you like me who just want to go and race now and again and don't have a massive amount of time to be able to spend online practicing and setting up cars. Now, you've got people who are out there who are doing YouTube videos, and they're spending 8-9 hours a day because that's their business. This isn't my business. I have a job, and consequently I need to be working, so I don't get a lot of time, but some people do find the time, and one guy in particular is a gentleman by the name of Les Bradford. Now, I need to give him full credit for this video, because without Les we would not be making this video today. He has spent what seems like an inordinate amount of hours on getting the setups right on the Super Tourers, and if you've ever raced any of them, you'll notice that he's usually first, and he's usually a couple of seconds, if not 3 or 4 seconds ahead of everyone else racing. And he did indeed win Division 1 last year. Now, to give you a little bit of history of Super Tourers, we first saw them in British touring cars in the early 90s. 93, 94 was the big start for them, and they were basically running under the 2-litre class, and they needed to be 4-door saloons that bizarrely they were supposed to be over the NCAP rating for small car saloons, but you usually got the larger saloons because they were a little bit longer wheelbase and they handled a little bit better. However, for the likes of you and me, when we go out there and race them, we're locking up the front tyres, we're getting lift-off oversteer, we're running wide on corners, and they can be frustrating. And if something's frustrating, particularly when you haven't got a lot of time, you're not going to spend that much time in it, and you're going to go off and race one of the other series. Now, Les and I have been chatting a lot online recently, and the super touring grids have just fallen to a ridiculously low amount on LowFuel Motorsport. You're getting grids of 2, 3 and 4 cars. Now, as you all know who are racing with LFM, you don't get any ELO rating, you don't get much in the way of points, and it's not really that much fun. What we'd love to see is grids of 10 or more cars. So this is where this video comes in, because what I want to try and show you is a base setup. Now, it's going to be on the Honda, the Gojira Ascent, which is the Honda Accord. We all know about the trademark issues and copyright issues that British touring cars and other touring car series have had with the game manufacturers, and this is what we've got at the moment. Les finds the Gojira pretty easy to set up, and I think that these setups will go across to the other cars. I hope so anyway. I haven't tried yet. because the Honda is right-hand drive and I'm used to driving left-hand drive, to be honest, so it's a little bit easier for me to have a left-hand drive car. So I'm going to go through one of the setups and just point out a few things and where and how you can make some changes to set up the car for you. And let's get some bigger grids for LowFuel Motorsport and Assetto Corsa with the VRC Super Tourers, because we don't want to see this series die when it gets to the end of this season. To give you an idea of how bad it is, we're nearly at the end of week 1. There's 14 people who have actually registered for the Super Tourers, and currently I'm second in the championship in Division 1. It shouldn't be like that. So come on, let's get some faster boys out there, because there's a lot of you there, and let's see if we can get you on board. So what I'm about to show you is just an opinion, okay? This might not work for you, but it will give you a setup that is relatively safe, relatively quick, and then you can adjust it for your driving style. And in this setup explanation, I'll try and show you how to do this. Now, it's probably 10 minutes long, but it could be 10 minutes that will save you hours and hours and hours. So bear with me while I ramble away. Okay, so here we are in the Gojira, and we'll go through the race setup with medium tyres. Now, some of you prefer racing softs, but obviously the softs will drop off at the end of a 30-minute race, and you might need to make a pit stop change and change tyres. So we'll just go with a basic medium race setup. Now, these setups that I've been given by Les, I'm just going to show you one of them, are designed for Laguna Seca. Now, you will need to change some of the setups as you go through the different tracks, but it will give you a good base as to where to start. Now, first of all, if you notice the tyres and the temperatures on this, 26, 27 on the front when they're hot, 31 on the rear when they're hot, and the rear front and rear ride height, the front ride height is about 2 millimeters lower than the rear. I will come to a point on that later on. You can also see the negative toe at the front and the rear as well, and the negative camber. Now, to show you the settings, I'll go through each of these pages just so you've got time to pause and copy them however you want to do it. There may be a case where if we get enough people, we can put them on Google Drive and we can share it to people, but these will give you a rough idea. Now, one thing that Les really enjoys about this car is it's quite revvy. It is. It's quite easy to drive. It's not particularly my style. I prefer bizarrely the Renault and the Peugeot a little bit, and to a certain extent the Mondeo, but my first drive of the Mondeo was awful when I first tried Super Tourers, and it almost put me off there and then. Going to tyres. Now, tyres, these will change a little bit. You'll notice the front right is a little bit lower. You've got more left corners here, so that will eventually level out with the front left. Tyres, you will need to change depending on temperature as well. You've probably all got experience on that already. Fuel, don't need to worry too much about fuel. It is what it is. You know what you need. Brakes. Now, brakes. We've got a 76% brake bias. I sometimes move mine back a little bit, and I sometimes drop my brake power down a little bit, because with the Thrustmaster load cell pedals, I do find it quite difficult to modulate the braking to exactly where I want it. At some point I will be changing from a Thrustmaster to a different setup. I don't know what yet. Answers on a postcard please, and let me know what works. The first big difference that I've noticed, differential. Now, I usually run the diff power or diff preload quite low, particularly on the Cupras, because it tends to wheel spin a lot. If you'll notice on this, diff power is up to 100%, and the diff preload is on the max at 200 Newton meters. It works, makes the car a little bit tighter, but it does work. Now, if you want to adjust those, or you want to see what the difference is when you adjust it, if you just hover over this part, for instance, the diff power, it explains to you what a higher value will do and what a lower value will do. You probably know this already, but I'm telling you just in case. Okay, so you can look at that and it may change how you set the car up to suit your driving style. Remember, a lot of people drive differently. Generic. I usually turn this up a little bit, but it's to do with force feedback, don't worry. Suspension, right. So we've gone for a mid-hard anti-roll bar at the front and a medium at the rear. Wheel rates at the front similar, and wheel heights at 16 and 11 at the back. Now the wheel rate on the rear is at the minimum. Now the reason I said that have a look at the ride heights, if you change anything on that, you can change the ride height. So you need to check it and make sure you haven't gone below the minimum. One thing I've noticed, and it was something that was advised to me by a race team owner who I'm fortunate enough to know, was actually with front wheel drive cars, you may want to lower the rear. Now in the GT3s on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you'll notice that they tell you to raise the rear a little bit so you get a bit more rotation into the corner. That works with front wheel drive, but more so you end up with more lift off oversteer. If you lower the rear at the back, so let's say we put the rear ride height on this down to its minimum, which that's not going to work. There we go. Let's put it to there. In fact, it'll be 7, I think. There we go. So that's 48, and it's a little bit lower than the front. That can help your braking because it will force more grip to the front with the suspension change as you dive on the brakes. So if you're getting a lot of lockup, lower the rear a little bit. That might help you. Not saying it'll work, but it might. Alignment. Now on the alignment, we've got these on the toe on 6 and 16. You notice it's negative toe on both. Again, this might work for you, it might not. Some people prefer a little bit of positive on the front and pretty neutral on the back. What you'll find is if you've got negative or positive toe on the back, that will help to keep the heat in your rear tyres. Camber, front and rear, we've got minus 3.6 and minus 4. I'm giving you plenty of time to look at these so you can pause them. We'll then go to dampers. Now this was the interesting one for me. Dampers, we've got full bump and minimum fast bump, almost minimum rebound and a little bit of fast rebound on the front. The same on the back, maximum bump, minimum fast bump, and then middle to higher on rebound and fast rebound. Now, I don't understand suspension. I really don't. If you talk to a racing driver, a lot of them, no disrespect to you racing drivers out there, don't actually know how a car works. To be fair, I know how a car works, but I don't understand setup. That is a black art that I really do not know. And what happens in a race is the racing driver will come in and he'll say, I've got too much understeer at the front and the back is snapping out on fast corners. The engineer, his job is to know exactly what to do on the setup to cancel those faults out. So the driver tells him what the symptom is, the engineer makes the fix, okay? Les has done that all for us. This is a good setup. It's fast, it handles easily, and you shouldn't get too many issues with it. Now, if you do decide to change any of these parts of the setup, what's really important is you only change one thing at a time. Because if you change, let's say, the rear suspension bump and rebound, and then you change the alignment because it says if you do this, you'll get better turning, and then you change the tyre pressures, if it works, or indeed makes it worse, you don't know what's actually fixed it. So you have to go back to the beginning. So change one thing at a time and spend a little bit of time before each race. Again, I know you can't all spend hours and hours, but this will make your life a lot easier and it will make the setup process a lot more efficient. So there we go. Hopefully that all made sense to you. Give it a try. Go and do some practice. We've still got a couple of days left of this week on season 14 at Laguna Seca, and hopefully that will be enough time for you to fall in love with Super Tourer racing. Now, again, thank you very much, Les, for the information you've shared with me. It's great that you want to bring the community get together, probably because you want to have some decent races as well. But that is what sim racing is all about. Let's face it, most of the people who are watching this channel are not professional sim racers who are out there trying to win championships, trying to win money, whatever, going on YouTube and earning $5,000 a month. That's none of us. We're out having a little bit of fun, and the community comes together and we meet new people, and this is how we get to race online. And I am loving the journey that I've started back in May so far. Now, I keep banging on about LowFuel Motorsport and Les, etc, etc. I will say again, I'm not earning anything out of this. I'm doing it for fun, and I decided to put this journey up so you guys could see what I got up to, because I thought some of you'd be interested. Naturally, a lot of you are, and thank you very much to each and every one of you who's subscribed, who liked the videos, who shared the videos, and indeed who have commented as well. I am not affiliated with LowFuel Motorsport in any way, or Assetto Corsa, and Les and I have literally only met on a couple of races and had some chats afterwards. I'm doing this because Les actually suggested it and said, could I make a video on the setup? So thanks a lot, enjoy the setups, hopefully this will work, and I'll see you out on track soon.